And welcome to Game 6 of the Angry Games. We're here with myself, Zurak, and Ithaca Hawk is with me as well. We have the red team of Lollipops versus the blue team of TEMPLIS, and the match is already underway here. What are we looking at here, Ithaca?
Okay, so Templis looks like they are bringing Eos Vengeance, Curse Dracovic, and double Deacons. So going for those frigate Logi here, and the match is getting underway really fast. They're all brawling in right now in the center of the arena, and I'm seeing damage applied to that Curse of Mirror Achieve on the Lollipop side, sorry, the Templis CALSF side, really quickly.
Yeah, they definitely acknowledge that these curses are a threat, and especially bringing two of them. I can see that these curses are spreading their newts around pretty much anything they're close to. The Svipples, probably those tracking disruptors going over there, the newts going over to Loki. So these curses are looking to just mitigate as much damage as they can while exhibiting control of those newts as well, while putting out a lot of damage with their T2 drones, as they are a drone boat as well as being an E-War boat.
Yeah, at the moment it's Badog in this Veeple for the Lollipops team who's taking the brunt of the damage here. It looks like Abigail and the Scimitar is struggling to keep him alive as he drops and disappears completely. So that is one Veeple down off the field, and that's going to be a lot of pressure potentially onto the Deacons that has just been removed by getting rid of that Veeple there. The second Veeple of Hodder now is being primaried as well from the Tempest CALSF team, and he's going down really quickly. It's almost as the Scimitar is just, you didn't get any reps on him at all there. I wonder what's happened. Is he neutered out maybe by these two curses?
Yeah, it does seem like the curse of the lost Spartan. He's managed to swing around and get onto that scimitar. I saw the newts going on around when that first Svipple went down. So yeah, the Svipple is definitely worth threat because when a Svipple is in sharpshooter mode, it actually gets a resistance towards all these disruptors. So even with the curses on field, they were still a big threat to the Deacons as well. So probably a really clear move, neuting out the logistics and getting them off the field quickly.
Yeah, and I mean that logistics ship there, the Scimitar. Basically, I'm not seeing any reps coming out from it whatsoever just now, apart from occasionally one. He's probably firing a booster, getting a rep off every now and then. But with a curse sitting straight on top of him, he's going to be basically removed from the match, and that allows Templis to just focus on just killing DPS ships at this point. And you can see here, Eliza in the Loki is going down with no reps coming in whatsoever from that Scimitar. Once that goes down, I mean this match is basically snowballing at this point for Templis CALSF, as removing a Loki and a Manticore, there's almost no damage left on the Lollipops team, whereas Templis still fully operational Battlestar.
Oh no, it's kind of like you say, just getting into a landslide here. They pretty much free reign. The Deacons, as we see the Manticore going down, the Deacons being keeping everything alive, even though the curse got a lot of pressure. Nothing has been able to put pressure on these Deacons. They've just been having the time of their life, orbiting around their team, keeping everyone up, and they're pretty much in full control of this match right now.
Yeah, I mean this match is over for the Pickleball team. Unfortunately, the Loki will die, the Myrmidon will die, and the Scimitar will die straight after that as well. They don't have enough damage to break the reps of these two Deacons now. You can see there's just nothing is being pressured whatsoever on the Tempest CALSF team. The Loki's going to go down, and it's just cleanup time for Tempest here. So really good effort from them to get on top of that Scimitar very quickly with that curse. I mean, what could have been done differently? I guess those as Veeples could probably try to screen off the curses, but two curses is a lot to screen off.
Oh, it definitely is. Teams are already pulling good fights in local, but obviously we play this out till everything has been destroyed. The teams are welcome to boundary themselves. One thing to note, though, is having two curses. That's an extreme amount of control, but curses by themselves don't actually put out a lot of damage. Even the EOS, it's quite the threatening with its heavy drones it can put out, but it's still not a lot of damage. And that might be why we see them bring the Dracovic here, is that they knew they'd be in having the time of life of this full control setup they'd be having with the newts, the E-War, even if anything else, they wanted to bring in the spare highs of these drone boats, and then they could just grind down anything with the Triglavian spool damage from the Dracovic.
Yeah, and there's nothing worse than being the logistics pilot and basically being removed from the game without even being killed. So you have to sit there and watch the rest of your team die, and then find you're the last one to go down, as the Scimitar of Abigail Orty here is trying valiantly to stay alive, but it's not going to be not going to last for very long. Let's leave it at that. But when he goes down, that will be a clean sweep for Templis CALSF here in the Anger Games. And with that, we will go to a short break and we'll be back for the next match as soon as we can.
I'm not sure where I'd find some of this stuff.
Those are the ones that that I've seen. Those are...
Welcome back to the Anger Games, everybody. I am CCP Aurora, joined here by CCP Swift, everybody, and we have a match here for you today that is looking pretty good. Spectre Fleet versus If All Else Fails. The If All Else Fails team I'm looking at here is now on grid. They have 2 Nighthawks, 2 Gilas, 2 Kirans, and a Svipple, so it's a pretty powerful shield comp of a team. And CCP Swift, can you tell me about the Spectre Fleet team?
Yeah, the Spectre Fleet team, which is all in red on your screen, is an Absolution with 2 Og Navies and Twin Vengeances for tackle, augmented with a Drekavac, and they've got an Oneros for reps. Both teams are actually pretty close to one another. As you mentioned, the If All Else Fails team came in within 20 kilometers of the beacon with their Nighthawks out front to screen. And you can see the bursts and links go up on the Nighthawks right now. It'll be curious to see if the Spectre Fleet Vengeances can effectively tackle and screen these Nighthawks off.
Yeah, and at this point, as the match starts, we can actually see that the Spectre Fleet team is pulling back a little bit. They want to do some range control. We can see the some of this the Nighthawks of the If All Else Fails team pushing in. The Spectre Fleet team probably has a bit of an advantage in terms of just damage type matchups. Those lasers are going to hit into the shield hole on those Caldari ships pretty well. But at this point, we're seeing almost no damage going on to the If All Else Fails team, with the Vengeance on the Spectre Fleet team starting to take some hits in armor, but looks like he's catching with reps from his friends. So far, a slow start to the match.
Yeah, it looks like the Vengeances had a little bit of a communication disagreement somewhere along. One went in to go and tackle, and one pulled back. So now they're both on the same page, and both survived the onslaught quite well. As Varian Stone Shard in the Drek is the target for the blue team.
Yeah, and we can see that it looks like he's starting to take some damage. They're splitting a little bit. We can see that there's still light drones on the Deacon of Lee Low. However, those Nighthawks have now very clearly switched targets onto the Drakovic, which is a pretty important target in terms of the power on their side. Assuming those Og Navies are probably heavily tanked, they're going to be built more for control than they are for damage. Getting that Drakovic down is kind of the primary DPS on the Spectre Fleet side, so if they can drop that, and at this point they're doing it with almost no damage in return, they'll be in a really good position.
Yeah, it's going to be crucial here. There's a lot of armor bots that it looks like the If All Else Fails teams are trying to chew through, but Spectre Fleet just has a swarm of these around, augmenting the reps from the Oneros. So there is, as you mentioned, a lot of rep power.
There is, but so far it looks like they're making pretty good progress. They're not losing any distance on that Drakovic, so if they can keep this up, they'll be in a pretty good position. It looks like the Kirin of the Sono Isagar is starting to take damage on the If All Else Fails side. He's shield fit, so that damage is actually pretty meaningful. He's getting about half shield here. If he is not able to stabilize and they lose this Kirin before they're able to take something down, could put them in a pretty bad position. We'll see if that Kirin's able to pull away here. He should be able to. He should be able to out-track them pretty easily. So, and it looks like nope. Looks like he might be about to hit armor here. We're seeing a lot of split damage as well, with the Oneros now taking quite a bit of damage on the If All Else Fails side.
Yeah, Leo Dormir in the Oneros is going down right now. He's in armor, he's in structure, and he's gone. He is absolutely gone right now. They still have armor rep bots on the Spectre Fleet team, but that's a huge, huge trade. As one of the Kirins is still alive, Clovina is repping up his Kirin buddy not too well right now, but he's survived long enough to get that trade.
He goes down, but that is a fantastic trade for the If All Else Fails team. They still have another Kirin. They still have quite a few rep bots from the other ships on their side. And with that Oneros down, now that Drakovic is going to be in serious trouble, as those Nighthawks, different knights, are going to spit out damage onto the ships on the other side. And at this point, we can see it looks like the Vengeance and the Drakovic might go down at almost the same time.
Yeah, this Feeple on the If All Else Fails team is taking this Vengeance to town without any rep bots left or without any Logi left. He goes down. Virion in the Drekavac is being laid into hard by these Nighthawks. These Nighthawks also have a little bit of active tank on them, it looks like. So you can see Deebs is repping a little bit, but now there's like no tackle left apart from this one Vengeance. And if all else fails, it looks like they're going to be able to cruise on this one if Deebs can actually get free.
Yeah, it looks like Deeps has he's saved himself. Deeps is no longer in trouble. He's wrapped right back up and quite quickly too. However, it looks like they are going to lose the Svipple here, but the Svipple alone isn't going to matter too much. They've already got the rest of their team right on top of the enemy, and it's going to be just kind of a matter of slowly chewing through the heavy armor on the Spectre fleet side. Because at this point, the Gilas and that Nighthawk are going to be, those two Nighthawks are going to be doing almost the same damage that they came into the arena doing, and without the Oneros on the Spectre fleet side, it's not looking like this is a match that the Spectre fleet can win.
Yeah, the attack bar on the if all else fails team is so much bigger. Right, they're able to apply so much more damage, and in a situation where there's really no logistics left, that's not a great situation for the Spectre Fleet team. As you see, the Abso and the Vengeance both pop instantaneously, and Clovina in the Kirin was able to save Rin's Sweeple in low armor. So Clovina is doing a lot of work here.
So I think the last super interesting thing to see in this match is watching these Og Navies. If they hit armor and they suddenly melt and they pulled a sneaky one and they were polarized, that would certainly be an interesting play. But it doesn't look like that as we're seeing Lincoln starting to bleed a small bit of armor. It's just going to be a very slow end to this match as the If All Else Fails team holds control, slowly burns those Og Navies down, and takes the win.
Yeah, I mean, I think that just the match came down to some very crucial moments early on when the Logi trade was going on. The Spectre Fleet Oneros dying just before the Kirins of the If All Else Fails team. That was just absolutely crucial, right? So the Kirins very high skill to pilot, a very high skill ceiling. You can easily make a mistake with these guys. So really well done with the pilots on the If All Else Fails team. And I think that really gave them enough of an advantage early on in the match to push this to a victory.
Yep, and at this point we can see the this If All Else Fails team is just kind of brawling in on this last remaining Og Navy. Um, this is a very clean victory to them with 6 still standing. They only lost the 1 Kirin in the whole fight, which means they never actually dipped in DPS in terms of the power that they brought to the field. And I know that some people still, and I'm guilty of this as well, kind of underestimate the Nighthawk. It is a terrifying ship post the recent rework that the command ships got. So it is a lot of damage that was on that team.
Yeah, the Minmatar role players taking a Kaldari Rush type team. That's the Anger Games for you. And with that, I am CCB Swift. Thank you, CCB Roar. We're going to send it back to the studio.
Good evening, everybody. I am Ithaca Hawk, and I am joined here in the arena by CCP Aurora for this match: Wolves Among Strangers versus Test Alliance. Please ignore. And this looks like it could be an interesting one here. Test Alliance, please ignore, bringing twin rattlesnakes, a scythe, stork, bifrost, and 2 skybreakers. CCP Aurora, what have Wolves Among Strangers brought?
Wolves Among Strangers team has brought 2 ravens, a basilisk, a broadsword for really heavy control, 2 skybreakers in as well. So this is actually a match with 4 skybreakers in it, and a bifrost. So it's this is going to be a really flashy match, definitely with all of these skybreakers on the field. There's going to be lasers bouncing all over. I think something to note about that is because this format includes T2 drones, the anti-drone defanging abilities of the skybreakers is probably more highly valued than it has been in previous tournament formats where they've been used.
Yeah, previously we've seen them mainly used as tackle ships here, but this tournament could be the rise of the EdenCom meta. And the match is underway, and immediately 2 skybreakers from the Wolves team just barrowing in straight into the depth of the test team, trying to get tackle on stuff. And it looks like DPS primary is they're trying to kill those 2 skybreakers right now. They don't want to be tackled.
Yeah, we can see that the Wolves team is immediately primarying one of the rattlesnakes, which is already bleeding into almost half shields. This is a pretty scary position for that rattlesnake to be in. We have to notice that the test team is logiless. They did not bring logistics, unless I'm misreading this.
Well, they have a scythe. They have a scythe.
They have a scythe. I didn't lock the scythe, so apparently that's my fault.
Well, they did bring Tech 1 logistics, which is sort of like not bringing no logistics. It's not as good as a Basilisk, but it looks like we have a broadsword down there for the Lupus team. So that's a lot of tackle off the field and a lot of control. And it looks like Test are choosing now as a primary the Basilisk, who is repping hard. That Rattlesnake of Test, though, Jason, just living to win. He's about half shield, still repping his little scythe buddy, the Tech 1 Lodge, is keeping him alive. And at the moment they're doing it, they're killing that Skybreaker of S-Pax Thang from the Wolves team, but he's dropping now he's gone, just to one-shot him.
And it looks like that rattlesnake is going down, so they might get an even trade here. Nothing else is immediately in threat on the Wolves team, so they could be pulling this back, even though they've lost 2 ships early. That scythe is not able to hold that rattlesnake up, and as he bleeds damage, he will go down here shortly, unless a miracle happens.
Yeah, I mean, the scythe is basically at this point is just kind of prolonging the death of the rattlesnake, but every second he stays alive is more DPS being applied as the second Skybreaker goes down from the Wolves team. That rattlesnake is just slowly going down. He is going to go down, but I mean, that's what 2 Torp Ravens by the looks of it. That's a lot of damage. So it's a lot still. They've still got so much to chew through. They do have that Basilisk, which is a Tech 2 logistics ship. So I'd say this is still fairly even.
It might be, but something to notice too is if you look at the field, there's relatively few drones out. So is that the effectiveness of all of these skybreakers that were on the field? With the Lupus skybreakers or the Wolf skybreakers now down, it's possible that those rattlesnakes are going to be able to, or the remaining rattlesnake will be able to more comfortably flex what it has. Oh, that basilisk is taking heavy damage. Although
He's actually been caught by the rattlesnake. He's been caught by the rattlesnake. Not good move for your basilisk pilot to be caught by a heavy, slow-moving rattlesnake, but he has been, and he's been surviving for a fair amount of time on tackle from that rattlesnake. But it's not going to survive much longer. He's running out of XLASB charges, and he's going to go down. That rattlesnake of Jean Starwind is being kept alive by that scythe. If those 2 Ravens can blast down that rattlesnake, they maybe can kind of solo the other stuff, but it's going to be touch and go now.
It looks like they're pushing through that scythe pretty quickly. I'm actually surprised that scythe wasn't primaried earlier, given how important it is in keeping the other primary ships up. This is all going to come down to those Ravens just kind of man-taking through the damage of the test side. The Bifrost boosts will help because he's probably got a lot of shield boosts in there that are really augmenting their shields, but it's not looking so good with that Raven now getting into 75% shield and them not being able to keep meaningful damage on that rattlesnake.
Yeah, at this point, what we have to have here for the Ravens is they have to have a DPS tank. That is, they have to kill the things that are killing them before they die themselves. And the Shriner in the Raven is taking a lot of damage. He is surviving somehow. Like, it's not... There's not enough coming in from that rattlesnake right now to maybe kill him. If they can kill that rattlesnake before that Raven goes down, that's huge.
And it looks like it's going to happen. If that rattlesnake goes down before they lose both Ravens, they've got almost no DPS remaining on the test side, and this match will go in favor of Wolves.
Oh my god, it's going to be so close. I think they might trade for each other. Both into armor right now. Someone's going to hit reload first, and that's going to be the side that dies last. This is chaos. It's so close.
Even if they trade these two battleships for one another, the Raven that's still remaining on the Wolves side is going to be able to outlive everything else on the Test side, and I think they will win on points if this Rattlesnake dies.
I don't know, I can't talk and math at the same time. That's too complicated for me, so someone else has to do that. But right now, the Rattlesnake is actually calling back a little bit of shield right now. He must have got a reload off in his booster, because that Raven is going to go down and the Rattlesnake is going to live. The Bifrost is now being primaried probably by those two Skybreakers who have nothing else to shoot at because they've killed all the drones. So the links are going to be gone from the Ravens. I don't know what's going to happen right now. Aurora, tell me what's going to happen.
That Bifrost is melting pretty fast. It looks like he's going to go down, but it's not going to be a meaningful impact except on the points value of this match. So the reps are still going to be applied to those two Ravens. They're still going to have boosts for a couple minutes here. It looks like that Rattlesnake is surviving. This Raven will go down. If this Raven goes down and that Rattlesnake continues to live, then it might not be a great position for the Wolves team. And it looks like the Rattlesnake is leading the last bit of hull. And there it goes.
It looks like the
Rattlesnake
Rattlesnake managed to get away, and the Ravens are locked down, so they can't get away. The Skybreakers are holding it down, and if it's a Torp Raven, as the name would suggest, it's called AT Torp Raven. It's not going to be able to apply to that Rattlesnake at range right now. So, I mean, that Raven is just basically being pinned down by a bunch of people and then punched in the face by a Rattlesnake.
And that Rattlesnake DPS is really big. As we can see, it's already pushed into 75% shield. We can see that its shield reps are going. Given the size of them, it doesn't look like it's an XLASB, perhaps just a large shield booster that those Ravens are running. But it's not enough to keep the damage off of it, and given positioning and the damage of that Rattlesnake and its inability to apply to any of the things holding it down, this is a game won in favor of Test, who managed to pull it back, even when it wasn't looking so good for them.
Yeah, I mean, they made it exciting, that's for sure. I mean, that being said, right now, that Raven is boosting and the Rattlesnake is taking damage, so... I mean, I don't know, this might be back on right now, because the Raven is in shield and the Rattlesnake is in hull, and I think this still stands. If that Raven can kill that Rattlesnake before he dies himself, then... I'd say it's potentially still on.
I think I've called this match too early twice in a row, so I'm going to try to stop doing that. It could still be on. It's possible that that Raven, when we saw the Rattlesnake wasn't taking much damage, was in a reload. So we're seeing that reload come off. We're now seeing the Rattlesnake in half hull.
I think he's going to do this. I think he's going to do it. He's going to kill it. Gene Star into the Rattlesnake. It's going to die. Hoffy V6 in the Raven is going to do it. He's going to kill that Rattlesnake. The only thing left to do damage to him. He's done it. He's done it. The only thing left to do damage to him now is two Skybreakers, which don't do damage.
The two Skybreakers are about 3 points each, if I remember correctly, 2 or 3 points. Then the Stork and the Bifrost are going to be about 8, with the Raven at 20 points. So I think that is still more points in favor of the Test team, even if this goes to time with the current situation.
I mean, can that Raven kill something left? Can he? If he kills something, has he won this game? Skybreaker is grappled. So, I don't even know. We need a math expert in here to tell me who's going to win this. But, I mean, that Raven is still dropping. He needs to get another reload off of his booster. If he can do a third reload and then rep back up and then kill a Skybreaker, which, to be fair, he's doing a lot of damage to Atticus right now. And I don't know how long's left in the match, but I think he might... He's repping out. Oh my god, what is going on?
That Raven is still taking a bit of damage.
He's done it. He's killed one. He's killed one.
It's about 2 points off the field. If those Storks and Bifrost are, as I remember correctly, about 8 points each, that's 16 points on their side, plus 2 for the Skybreaker. I think we have an even tie at the moment, but that Raven is bleeding hull.
Under 10. He's boosted again. So he's got 7% structure. He's got 7% structure, 2% shield. It's less than 2 minutes remaining. He needs to boost. He's 4% structure. He's done. He's dead.
The Skybreaker has killed the Raven.
Oh my god. The Skybreaker has killed the Raven.
Field, and Test has pulled it back.
Edencom reigns supreme once again. What an incredible match. Well done, everyone on the field there. So Test Alliance Please Know takes that one in possibly one of the most exciting tournament matches we've seen in a long time. Wow, I'm going to go cool off as we hand that one back to the studio.
Hello everyone and welcome to match number 10 of Anger Games. I'm Midtier and with me is CCP Taylor Swift's biggest fan. So tell me, Swift, hello everyone and welcome to match There's some interesting bands in this matchup. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Exactly. So Hangry Nubs. Why couldn't they just pick Brave? In red, they banned the Gila, which was reasonable, and Disciples of Tote banned the Bargist, also reasonable. Brave then went with the Bargist and the Sleipnir, which Disciples of Tote kind of matched, so they got an extra ban. And then the Hyperion got banned out of nowhere, just like, let's just ban this Hyperion, sure. And Disciples of Tote were like, "We're in your head, Brave. We also ban Hyperion." So they just have like this slew of bans here that they matched. And what we get out of this is Kaldari. So I guess that's the only thing that isn't banned.
Yeah, so Hangry Nubs brought a double Raven team with a Drake, 2 Swivells and 2 Kirins. Meanwhile, the Disciples of Toad brought a lucky less setup. They're going all DPS with having a Rattlesnake, a Nighthawk, 2 Offers, 2 Jackdaws, and a Skybreaker. And that match has begun.
Yeah, so one of my favorite tournament pilots of all time, Jinx Care, who once carried an entire Brave team with some great piloting in a Griffin, is on field. So I think Hangry Nubs have a pretty good advantage here, as we see this Orthrus belonging to Space Rigger going down. He's, as you mentioned, there is no Logi, so these guys are taking all damage, and there's nothing to rep them up.
Yeah, so one thing to notice is that these Ravens are cruise Ravens, unlike the previous Ravens. So no matter where these ships go on the Toads team, then they'll take damage. So these offers, without any logic to keep them alive, will just get picked off. So they need to make a play now, unless they want to do this 5 versus 7. And you're already
another
seeing
Orthrus,
Space
going down.
Rigger, Ijo saying GF and local.
He was first blood, but his Orthrus buddy is not getting up so quickly. Darren in his Orthrus is actually kiting out really, really well and taking a little bit. So he's at least living a bit longer than his Orthrus pairing. As you can see, the Tote team going after these Kirins. They have to get Kirins down if they want to win here.
So Picard in the Jackdaw says, "Screw it, I'm going in alone." He's rushing in, trying to apply some damage, but he's getting some damage in return, so he might not live for long, as the Offers is entering Hull.
All right. It looks like the Tote team has listened. They've identified that Jinx is the moral victory for them, and they've taken Jinx out. So the Drake is down, and we see Darren finally goes down in that Orthrus. He lived a long time, considering the Orthrus doesn't have a lot of HP, and there was no reps for him. So really good piloting there to draw it out as long as he did.
Yeah, it looks like the Ravens have switched to Totem Rage in the Rattlesnake, as he's taking damage going down to almost half the shield.
Yeah, so that's going to be interesting to see how long Tone Rage can tank here. The Nighthawk does a lot of damage, as CCP Aurora mentioned, and I say that a Jackdaw just vanishes, right? These peoples just ate him for breakfast.
Yeah, so Nighthawk is taking a lot of damage, but I'm just doing a lot of damage. Just checking out if he's heavy missiles or ham. Looks like he's ham fit, so he needs to get in to apply damage.
Yeah, the Nighthawk is actually sitting right next to Toten Rage's Rattlesnake. He's afraid to charge in. I'm not sure why, as you mentioned. He needs to be a little bit closer to apply damage. As we see now, there's a battleship trade going on. Toten Rage going after Dujik and the Raven. Both teams are going to try and trade battleships. I do think that with these Kirins here, the Kirins are definitely going to provide a huge bonus for them.
So we're seeing a swarm of ECM drones. Actually looks like it on the Swipple. At first of all, it's on the Kirin, which could try and delay some of the reps. But it still looks like Dujak in the Raven is bleeding hull. This is not good. But in the meantime, Totem Rage is also bleeding armor. So this might be
I
a
don't know if
battleship
this
trade
is-
tree.
I don't know if this is bait tanking or what, but the Kiryans don't have all of their reps on Dujik's Raven. Only one of the Kiryans is. So it looks like, okay, now it looks like all the reps are finally on. So just bait tanking and structure, because, you know, that's what you do to bait your enemy into making a mistake. And you can just say, yeah, just baiting, guys, just baiting. NBD, 37% structure. You don't need it all, right? You only need one.
It
Meanwhile,
just got
Totem
corrected.
Rage.
The Nighthawk is heavy missiles, but it can still deal a lot of damage. As you've seen, just teams sitting a distance from it and just lobbing missiles at each other. Not even the triples are going in. As the Rattlesnake of Totem Rage is going down. So now it's just 3 ships versus 6.
Yeah, this is looking really, really hard for the TOTE team in blue. See what they can get. They really need to get these Kiryans out of the picture. And by getting them out of the picture, they needed them out of the picture 3 minutes ago. So now it's just one Nighthawk and one Skybreaker versus the world. You can see the Sweeple of Kraid is taking a little bit of damage, but these Sweeples are able to save him. So NBD.
Yeah, it looks like Kraid just burned in to kill that Skybreaker. So he did get out of Kieran range, but the Kierans are going in to repair him up again, so he might as well just survive this.
Yeah, I think you're right here. As Tushi and the Nighthawk is going down lower and lower, the Sweeple of Kraid is, you know, he's surviving good enough, right? He knows his Kieran's got his back. Dujik, he was never afraid to begin with. He's back at 100% shield. Armor, no one needs armor. You know that's just there for looks.
Yeah, the triple is stabilizing again, getting wrapped to full shield. So at this point, 2 ships remaining on the TOTE team, and they're both in low shield. There's not much left they can do.
Interestingly enough, even though this is the match that had the most bans of any match probably that will ever happen in the Hunger Games, not a curse was banned. Curse we saw, you know, used really effectively earlier, and it seemed to be quite meta here. But neither team decided to take it. They're like, you know what, we want ravens and rattlesnakes because it's cool. And the
They
Hangry
went
Nabs
full
take
missiles
it.
as the match, the show.
And welcome to Game 11 of the Angry Games. I am Zura, joined here by CCP Aurora. On field, we'll be having in red Odin's voicemail and blue aggressively mid-tier. The band's actually coming through from Odin's voicemail being Curse, Guardian, Scimitar, and aggressively mid-tier doing the Sleipnir, Nighthawk, and Oracle. Oracle being one of the first attack battlecruiser bands we're seeing this time. CCP Aurora, what are we actually seeing on grid here right now?
So what we're seeing on grid here is the Odin's Call team has brought 2 Absolutions and an Ikatursa as their primary DPS core. They have 2 Svipples that are going to be able to kill smaller stuff and hold things down to get into good positions, and then 2 Deacons for logistics. And then on the aggressively mid-tier side, we have double Praxises that appear to be rapid heavy fit and an Itana for logistics reps, along with a Hyena for some control, Stork for some reps, and 2 Caracals, which will allow them to more easily shed smaller ships.
So those characters light rapid light. So I'm interested if Hyena, if they're going to try go for the Deacons or the Svipples first to try to get the support off on the Odin's voicemail side. So yeah, they're clearly putting some pressure on the Hyena from aggressive mid-tier, knowing that that's a threat to their light ships that they have right now.
Both teams are taking a relatively slow start as they just kind of maneuver about their starting positions. We can see that the aggressively mid-tier team has become more spread out. They're not quite as interested in staying as balled up as the Odin's tier side. And we can see a lot of damage going on to that Deacon of Tiger Ven, who's bleeding hell. He's about to go down. The rapid lights of those Caracals are likely shredding into him. And as a return, we're seeing damage going onto the Hyena of Roten, but that was very quickly wrapped up. Those Itana reps are going to be very powerful and are going to cause quite a bit of an issue for the Odin's Call team, who's looking to do some damage.
So if I'm not if I'm right here, it looks like that Deacon broke the 2-kilometer mark. So I think these Deacons are actually MWD fit, judging from the acceleration. But what's happened is now those Deacons have run to the back, and the reps are already short range. And what's happened is that there's Svipple exposed right in the front, and he's got picked off by the light missiles. Just showering him there. So while the Deacon did survive, it's a good call. Running back that far did leave the rest of his team exposed due to the short rep range you have on these Deacons. As we see the Svipple and other Svipple now suddenly getting pressure. So it looks like aggressively mid-tier is making a play to get rid of this lighter support on the field right now.
Aggressively mid-tier is playing aggressively middle upper tier as they shed these Svipples on the Odin's Call side in order to remove a lot of the control that the Odin's Call side has and free up their movement. We know that aggressively mid-tier likes to stay highly mobile. They're really good at positioning, and they managed to capitalize really well on that. Those misplaced Deacons who were unable to get meaningful reps on that Svipple and take it out. But at this point, we're actually seeing damage fall off. It looks like they might have entered a reload phase as that nothing is taking damage on the Odin's Call side at this time. However, those Absolutions and Ikatursa are still spitting out damage, and we're seeing them spool up on the Praxis of Keithstone.
Interesting as well is that it looks like these Praxises don't have any props fit. They're barely breaking the 100 MS mark without any tackle on them. So they're just slow boating around, keeping all their mids probably to E-War and application, as it looks like they have come off reload and they're applying back on Deacon, and it goes down. So from this point forward, aggressively mid-tier is gonna pretty much have a snowball match, I'd say, keeping their core support there of the Hyena, allowing them to keep that application up and the logistics alive while shredding these Deacons right now.
A lot of the damage actually seems to be coming from those Caracals, which it's almost surprising that the the Odin's Call team have not attempted to hit them. Although those Caracals do appear to be fast, they're kind of cutting out of range, and without their Svipples, they're not going to be able to hold them down to apply meaningful. And with that, all of the logistics are off the field for the Odin's Call side, and the aggressively mid-tier team has lost nothing. They are in a very good position, even if this Praxis goes down, which it very well might as the Ikatursa and Absolution continue to deal damage to it. It's not going to matter much because they still have another one and 2 Caracals, and with no logistics on field, they're just going to keep eating damage.
Yeah, it looks like aggressively mid-tier has left a voicemail here for Odin, and it is the sound of missiles hitting your face. So they're just going to rip off now. I do have to point out now that Odin's voicemail did make a good play at the beginning. When you saw the initial Deacon getting that pressure on him, they made a good play of getting the rep bots onto the correct Deacon right away. So good call out from them. Unfortunately, that did mean the rep bots were also pulled away from wherever they were needed later on. But at least they're making some good plays even while they're getting shredded out here right now.
There's still quite a swarm of medium and light armor repair bots on the Odin's Call side, so they still have some logistics, although it's not enough to deal with the remaining damage, it looks like. I wouldn't be surprised, however, if those Caracals start to transition to shedding at least some of the medium armor repair drones, because their rapid lights are not going to do quite as much damage to some of the Absolutions and stuff. that the Odin's Call side has. But at this point, we're seeing this Ikaterza about to hit hull. That Ikaterza is going to go down. No meaningful damage is still being applied to the aggressively mid-tier team. And with that, there are just 2 absolutions remaining on field. This prox is still taking a little bit of damage, but it's bouncing on its own or on the shield reps from the Itana, and it looks to be in 0 threat. These absolutions will need to pull off a miracle play or hope the aggressively mid-tier aggressively boundaries themselves in order to pull this one back.
Yeah, I would have said, like, you know, we haven't seen any plays made against Lollipops. You would have thought maybe with like the Ikis and the Abso they could have applied long range DPS, but I do feel that the Satana pilot, Ruri Hoshino, has done a good job of positioning himself in the right place, and the Hyena pilot of Rotan also just making sure probably nothing creeps up that far, especially getting rid of the Swiffles that early in the game as well. There was nothing was really going to tackle Lollipops at any place. So well, you might have thought like, hey, it would have been a good idea for them to put some pressure on the Tana. I just feel like the Tana was also piloted really well to just make sure he was never in a place that they could put pressure onto him, as we see this last episode going down.
Yeah, the
second one.
positioning on the aggressively mid-tier team was just too good for the Odin's Call team to deal with, as you've seen. It would have been a really good call for them to have been able to, if they had been able to maintain their Spipples and removed the Caracals from the field in some way, shape, or form. But that would have almost required a misplay on the aggressively mid-tier team, as those Caracals do not want to be anywhere near the control of the other side, and they managed to play that quite well. The Hyena is a really great call in the middle of that team because it allows them to basically very easily screen multiple targets. They can flip that those long-range webs between different targets in order to keep them from moving. And it allows them to apply incredibly well, even with those rapid heavies, to some of the smaller targets on the other side.
Do you see some EC drones covering on the last absolution on grid? So it looks like aggressive Midtier is just trying to rub some salt in the wound to just deprive that Abso of any potential lost kill mills. One thing I was surprised about is how we actually aggressive Midtier did actually end up losing a Praxis. It might have just been like an Icky full spool was too much for the Tana, but they did manage to at least get something off of aggressive Midtier, who has come out ahead now and only losing a single Praxis. Any final comments here, CCB Aurora?
I just think that was really well played on the aggressively mid-tier side. They're very clearly trying to overcome the name that they have earned over the years of tournaments, and I wish them best of luck in the rest of their matches.
All right, and with that, we'll be taking a short break before we head over to game 12.
G'day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to match number 12 of AP Stole My Fit versus We Are 4. I'm joined, of course, by the ever awesome Swift. How you doing, mate?
Pretty good. So many good explosions today, and this one looks like it's going to deliver as well.
Yeah, so would you like to talk us through what AP Stole My Fit have brought?
All right, so AP Stole My Fit in red have Damascus Kadesh in an Absolution, because of course. Arya in a Hyperion, and they've got a Zarmaz for logistics, 2 Ognavies, a Vengeance for tackle, and also a Claw because, why not?
Yep, you got to have that elite pilot claw. On the other side, for We Are 4, they've brought Mega Navy, Double Nighthawk, Stabber Fleet Issue, Twin Catalysts, okay, and a Punisher. This is a weird combo.
It is definitely weird, but the We Are 4 team does have a lot of damage. They warp to the beacon at 0, some at 10, but mostly at 0 with their big core ships.
No, yeah, 30 seconds or 50 seconds will start here. I normally riff on the Zarmad like a lot, but this is actually the kind of comp that the Zarmad can do well. These ships have enough buffer to actually survive until the rep spools up. So this can be where the Zarmad can really kick balls.
All right,
And
the match is live now. We should see the blue team start rushing in really hard. We do see this
team run
claw
away.
belonging to.
Claw.
Okay. The
Look
claw
at
is
that
going to
claw.
tackle something.
Oh, and this catalyst already is getting obliterated. Yeah, I didn't see this cat surviving more than 5 seconds. There's no Logi in their team. They got to be hull tank, surely. Yeah, I guess you can call that a hull tank. It's not lasting much.
I mean, this Vengeance is also holding down the Navy Mega, so this Navy Mega can't really go anywhere. These catalysts are living for quite some time. As you mentioned, they're definitely hull tanked, and it looks like they're probably going to kill a claw with them.
If I get rid of the claw, that will actually pull off some of tackle. This could be like a 4D chess move, bringing cats to delete tackle. They've killed one. This Vengeance goes, it actually might have worked. I mean, Vengeance is running away, so yeah, Mega's
The
free.
Gank Catalyst did it. They survived. They did what they do best. They just rammed in, pushed F1, and they killed the claw. And they're both surviving in structure right now.
I'm looking at that Mega Navy because I'm terrible with large like hybrid slots. Are those rails or are those blasters he's just firing at maximum range? Because he's not moving. He's going 15 ms.
Yeah, he was tackled by the Vengeance for some time, but now he's not tackled and he's really not moving too much. So maybe he's rail fit.
Rails?
It could be.
I can't
could
tell.
be no.
I think those are blasters. I could have swore those are blasters. But anyway.
I think he's just
is
using
blasters.
null, right? So he's definitely. I don't know
Why?
what he's shooting at yet. Oh, he's getting up to speed. You know what? Their team name is We Are 4, so there's probably some people dual boxing, right? So he just had to get his stuff all sorted.
I was going to point out he's getting up to speed, yes, but he's still not even There's not even Mike Warpdrive speed yet. That's just basic hull speed. So I think he's actually speed now, is he? Yeah, now he's going. Here we go. You're a little late, buddy. Your catalysts are dying, but you're finally on the move. I'm gonna be curious to see can 2 Nighthawks and a Mega punch through a Zarmad.
They can probably if the We Are 4 team can grab something meaningful, they can do quite a bit of damage here, right? So they've got the Stabber Fleet issue and a Punisher, which can go out and grab something.
Yeah,
but
Stabber Fleet's a weird choice, but it can definitely go out and grab something if it decides to.
Azazel and the Nighthawk, he's trying to pull away a little bit. He's actually doing a fantastic job. Even though there's no logistics on this We Are 4 team, they're surviving admirably well, right? Though we've gotten to this point in the match, and they only lost 2 Gank Catalysts and a Stabber Fleet issue. So doing a good job.
They're doing all right, but now we're going to come up to the problem that I was talking about before. Like this is where the Zarmad will actually shine with these super tanky ships. Like every single ship in that comp now is something that will just survive for like ridiculous amounts of time on its own. Add a Zarmad to that, and it's just going to be really hard to kill anything, even for a Mega Navy and 2 Nighthawks. It's going to be an absolute uphill battle.
Yeah, the Zarmaz, if you guys are unfamiliar with it, it is the Triglavian logistics. So just like the Triglavian guns, it does ramp up its rep, right? So the longer it's repping a single target, the more it will do up until a maximum point. So it does have to spool up, which makes this Hyperion and these Og Navies a really, really solid choice because they have enough buffer to survive that spool up time. As we see this Navy Mega without any logistics, kind of dying. It is structure tanked, but it's not doing too well right now.
Yeah. What I want to see now with this comp with the Zarm and Orc Navies is to have polarized Orc Navies. So no one's going to expect it. You've got a Zarmad. This is a perfect combo. Just bring a polarized set.
That would actually be pretty dope, but I don't think they're polarized. Given how
They're
well
not.
Dusty is tanking,
They
I
are
think
absolutely not.
he's definitely a brick, right? And the cool thing about the Og Navies is, as they are like really hard to chew through, they can also work as a screen, right? So you can go up and grab a heavy core ship like a Navy Mega, and you'll never lose tackle on it.
Oh yeah, and honestly, Org Navies are surprisingly versatile for what they've got. Because they've got, I'm pretty sure they've been changed. Yeah, they've got 5 high slots, but only 3 guns. You can bring a double Newt Org Navy and not lose DPS. I obviously just feel like a max tanks in the lows. The only real weakness is the amount of mid slots, but even then, it's an Amarian ship that if you fly Amar, you're used to that.
Yeah, it's a poor man's sacrilege in a way. So a really nice ship choice, especially with this Zarmazd, and the Zarmazd can actually kind of sneak through some bans as well. If you're not thinking about it, maybe you ban the Guardian of Neros and you kind of forget that the Zarmazd is a thing. Azazel's Nighthawk, he lived for so long, but it looks like his time has come. The Nighthawk is down. There's just one Nighthawk and one Punisher left for We Are Four.
And that Nighthawk's already been tackled as well. The Vengeance has already got him held down, so there is no more running for Sahina. He's he's going to be gone soon. This is a hard comp to come against, though. That really is a brutal comp. Every ship is tanky. Except for the
Yeah,
Orc.
that's one of the things that does happen in these tournament formats. We give there are some bans out there to kind of prevent really hard counters from hitting you, but every once in a while you will come up with a comp that you're not really meant to win against, right? So We Are Four were kind of behind the 8 ball, just starting out, right? They're at a big disadvantage just on the comps alone.
Yeah, and of course, like we were mentioning before, that Mega wasn't really moving fast enough, and also like props to their tackle as well to stop that Mega Navy. Every single second they held him there was more time to rip through his tank and start killing things off. So, like, bravo, good tackle work, but that Mega Navy should have moved a bit quicker. Just a little bit.
And we see the Nighthawk finally. So the Punisher lives the entire. She's the last one for the We Are Four team.
And there he
Nice.
goes. Bravo to the Punisher. That's how your hero tackle survives to the end. Well, I think we're going to put it back to on break till the next match, I believe. Thank you.
Hi everyone, we're just taking a short break before we get over to our next match. Due to some teams dropping out, Game 13, which was scheduled to happen next, won't be happening, so we'll be jumping straight to Game 14 later, which will be Eire Engineers versus Fwaming Dwagons. Fantastic name to say. So in the meantime, we're just going to be chatting about some stuff that we've seen today. One thing I do just want to repeat, which has been mentioned before, is you guys might have been seeing the Etana featured in a couple of matches here. So For this tournament, all limited ships, not AT ships, like any type of limited ship that includes state navy ships, those sorts of things, are not allowed. The only exception is the Etana, and that has been specifically allowed for this tournament in the hopes of pushing teams towards shield setups. On that note, Wingnut, do you think that the games where we've seen the Etana, it's actually been quite a game changer having it there?
I don't know. I don't see anything in the Atara at the moment that makes me scream it's the best ship ever. I mean, I think Miz could probably once again tell me I'm absolutely wrong, but I don't see it at the moment. Maybe later.
Mm, well, it's like it might actually be a bit of a win more right now, what we've seen of the kind of comps. Miz, I'm not sure if you're there to give any opinions.
Well, I think the matches where we've seen the Etana, it hasn't been the Etana pulling off the victory. It has been the rest of the setup. So they probably could have pulled the victory with a Basilisk as well. Although
Yeah.
I think there was one match where Team borrowed a Basilisk, even though they banned the Etana themselves, which makes me question a bit, did they switch setup in last moment, or could they maybe have done better if they had the Etana instead of the Basilisk?
Well, the other thing that's kind of caught my attention here, if I'm not sure if you can also give comment here, is we've been talking about curses, but then suddenly we've been seeing this surge in ravens for some reason. Ithaca, if you're there, I'm not sure if you can give any opinion unless you've gone on a bit of a break. All right, well, Ithaca isn't with us.
I can talk about it.
Sure, all right, go for it, please.
So something that I've seen in tournaments of past is that as teams practice, a meta sort of builds for them, but it tends to be a meta in a bit of a cave where they don't see the broader
Yeah, they get a bubble.
meta evolve. Yeah, so the meta evolves kind of in a bubble, and so you get two metas that evolve in a tournament. So when you first start out, you have what everybody thinks is going to be a meta, and then that slowly shifts over time. So it's possible that the curses really are a powerhouse that could just dominate these other teams. And given that the Devil Curse comp is available, I'm actually surprised we aren't seeing it as much, although it has been banned in some of these most recent matches. So perhaps some of those teams do already realize the power of it. But especially for those newer teams and the ones that are not as adept at watching the metas evolve through the as a tournament kind of on goes, teams are generally constantly updating their comps that they've created through their months of practice leading up to the event. And all of a sudden they're flying, at the end of a tournament, they're flying something that they never expected to fly and never practiced with, because hopefully they have the skills to pull it off. And that's just kind of what the meta has called for, which is something that we saw in the Alliance Open recently, just this past fall, with the emergence of Nighthawks. So that was actually something that was relatively unexpected. In the first day of the tournament, we saw very few. And then it was either pick or ban through the rest of the event.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to add this on. I really love the curse as a tournament ship, especially the armor curse, which has so much control that can contribute to the team. Like it has neutralizers in high slots and then tracking or guiding disruptors in the middle medium slots, and then it has drones on top of that, especially in this format where I can use Stick 2 drones. But it's also a really hard ship to fly, so it has a high skill ceiling and can really benefit from having a lot of practice on the Curse Pilot. Like, this is a ship you want some of the best guys in, because they have so many modules to manage and the drones, so it can quickly turn into a stressful situation. So yeah, really strong ship with a lot of potential, and it scales incredibly well with skills. So that's like why I love the ship as a tournament ship.
I think one thing that also generally ends up happening is teams can get into the situation where, like, hey, the curse is really good. We know the curse is good, or it could be something else, like maybe Ravenstown being better. But during the scrims, they know the curse is good, so they ban it because they know that's the threat. So it's very hard for them to start getting practice in with the ship, because even in their scrims where they try and simulate bans, the ship starts getting banned, and then suddenly, oh, the curse is allowed for this match. What do we do? One thing I do actually want to speak about, CCP Swift, if you can maybe give a bit of comment here, is even though we've seen, Ravens in 2 matches and we've seen Nighthawks in 2 matches, we've actually seen quite a variance in the weapon systems they've been using. We've seen rapid heavies, we've been seeing torps, we saw cruisers, we basically saw every configuration you could put on these ships. So what would teams be thinking when they be choosing between these kind of missile types of, let's say the Ravens, for instance, rapid heavies versus cruise versus torps?
All right, so generally you never really see torps on the Raven just because of the application problem with them. You need something like a hyena there, which we've seen before. Hugely valuable ship because of the web and target painter bonus, really helps the application. The Wolves Among Strangers team, when they were playing for stats, they did have the Torp Ravens, and you could see just how much damage they could put out against the rattleship hulls. Cruise missiles are pretty cool in that you can just sit in the center of the arena and lob out missiles to your heart's content, right? You don't do a ton of damage, but you've got a lot of range for it. So it's just sustained damage, really good at putting pressure onto a logistics, right? Because the logistics can never hide from your cruise missiles. It can't kite away, it can't do anything about it. And finally, with the rapid heavies, that's where you have like a lot of burst damage, right? So you have loaded damage up front, and then this very, very long cooldown in the back. So it's when you want to punch through ships, and you have enough DPS with you to augment that. Generally, you see that from the Barghest hull more than the Raven hull, but it goes similarly for the Raven.
So
Yeah,
one thing worth mentioning about the Raven is that it has a rate of fire bonus, so it doesn't really benefit that well from a rapid heavy, since you just empty your clip faster before you hit the reload.
oh, there's nothing wrong with killing someone faster, but it is a good point, though.
An extra
One
thing to
thing
add as
people,
well, by the way.
yeah.
Sorry to cut in. Extra thing to add as well. We're talking about torps versus rapid heavies. Don't forget, torps also got a buff recently as well. So seeing people bring torp ravens is actually kind of cool because I want to see how they've changed and if they've actually affected the tournament meta.
I'm still waiting for someone to go all in with a torp rattlesnake. Like, we'll see that day. But the one thing people generally make a mistake when they have these rapid comps, and I think maybe we can go back to the aggressively mid-tier match where they had the rapid heavy praxises and the rapid light caracals, is you need to be rather good at coordinating your DPS because it's such a burst oriented DPS. If you have a mismatch, or you're putting in some, oh my goodness, some other sort of weapon systems. Like I saw one team mix I think it was a rapid heavy rattlesnake with a heavy missile nighthawk, and it's within like the first 30 seconds you have all your DPS there, but then these reloads start getting way out of sync, and you have all this DPS on paper, but it's not just all being applied at the same time. So aggressively Midtier did have a good showcase of how you should coordinate that DPS, holding until the right moment and then whacking something all at once.
Yeah, and I think that aggressively mid-tier team comp would actually fare really well against a curse. The curse was banned in that match, but I do think that's probably a setup that they feel comfortable with if they see one or even a double curse team, because none of their ships really need too much in terms of cap, so you don't care about that. You hope that there aren't too many missile guidance disruptors, and you just need that hyena to survive long enough to get a web and a paint off, and you can just try and punch through a curse, like you said.
Yeah. So let's have some opinions now. So we'll start off with CCP Aurora. What's a ship that you just like to see, like a favorite ship, just a little like favorite of yours you want to see more right now?
Favorite of mine, maybe not a strong meta pick, but the Nightmare is absolutely a tournament favorite of mine. Because if you get a favorable matchup where they have brought not enough webs, not enough control. Maybe they've brought a whole bunch of scrams that just don't affect you because you're just kind of cruising around and manipulating range. A team that is really able to execute really well with Nighthawks is just like a beautiful thing to see. Same goes for pretty much all ships like that. So Phantasms as well. Would love to see more of that. Alas, they're usually not quite worth the points, and given the tournament meta, not always the strongest pick, but bring more Nighthawks.
And
not
CCP
Nighthawks,
Swift?
Nightmares.
My favorite ship for any tournament ever in any format, and it's almost never useful, is the Vindicator. The Vindicator is such a fun ship to watch. it's just the Megathron hull, it's blasters, it's damage, it's got a 90% web. It's very susceptible to a ship like a Vengeance or assault frigates in general tackling you, but it's so fun. It's never a dull moment when there's a Vindicator on field.
I'm gonna have to ask Wingnut because I know what his answer is gonna be. I think.
Do you?
Isn't it a Vindy as well?
Shit. Okay, yeah, you're right. It's Vindicator,
I mean,
absolutely.
there's nothing wrong with having the same ship. If it's good, it's good.
I will say, different one, actually, in my opinion. Armageddon or Dominix. It's like a bigger
you're
curse.
changing. Oh.
It's just a bigger curse.
And then, Miz, do you have a favorite you'd like to see featured more today, or even the whole tournament?
Well, I did mention the curse, but another favorite is also the Sleipnir, just because it's so iconic and it's can be either a rush Sleipnir with the autocannon, or it can be flight killer with artillery. Flight killer is one of my favorite setups to fly in a tournament format.
I personally would like to see Paladins, but I think Paladins are a bit expensive for this tournament. Like, for some reason, just seeing a Paladin makes me happy. I don't know why, something about it. I'm more of a Mar fanboy, most likely, but I doubt we're going to see them, but I'd be happy if it showed up. And Ithaca, I'm not too sure if you're back with us yet. I guess not. We do have the teams moving into the tournament system so long, but we will only switch over once they are properly set up. Now, you're not trying to give anything away too much. But the next game we will be seeing, if I don't mess this up too much, will be game 14. Eire Engineers versus Fwaming Dwagons. We can go over their bans so long because both teams are already aware of these. So, Miz, if you can go over the bans that we have here set up.
Yeah, so Eire Engineers has banned the Cerberus, the Ishtar, and the Rattlesnake, and Fwaming Dragons have banned the Vindicator, the Bargon, and Rattlesnake. So it gives each team one more ban since they both banned the Rattlesnake. And the Eire Engineers banned the Healer, while the Fwaming Dragons banned the Raven. So seeing a lot of battleships being banned here by Fwaming Dragons.
Yeah, a lot of people like to ban these pirate battleships as well, but I think that was the first time. No, I lied. The Belgorn has been banned plenty before. Now, CCP Swift, why would people be banning a Belgorn of all things?
A Balagorn does a lot, like it adds a lot of utility to your team, right? So you've got the newts that kind of go on forever, or Lost that goes on forever. You've got long range webs, which is incredible for control. Generally, you see these ships when there's like a flagship rule that lets you put super swaggy mods on it. Not in this tournament. So the Balgorn is just really annoying.
What is the
frankly.
best Indian?
So I could see why a team would want to get rid of it.
Yeah. So just to those who aren't too familiar with how the banning system works, the team captains are contacted beforehand by a ref. They submit 3 bans. They're blind bans, as in they don't know what the other team submitted at the time. The ref takes them. If there are any duplicates, the teams are contacted. They're informed of what all the bans are, and if there's a duplicate, in this case, both teams.
What is the best Indian wormhole
At
corp?
that stage, the teams are allowed to submit 1 more ban for each duplicate there was, which is why we ended up in the situation before of Hangry Nubs versus Disciples of TOTE, where they both banned the Bargas and the Sleps, so they both ended up banning Hyperion, Ishtar, and Vindicator. But even though the Hyperion was then a duplicate ban because it was a bonus ban, we do not allow bonus bans for bonus bans. We do have teams taking the arena. We'll switch off once we're ready. I'm only going to be talking about their fits once they're ready here. But yeah, so let's see. We'll be switching over soon. So just give us a second here while we prep ourselves for this. While we're prepping out here, oh, that's actually not surprised. Like, Wingna, do you think we would have been seeing more drone comps? I don't think we've seen any drone comps really right now.
No, I'm not a personally big fan of drone comps, to be honest, but we have seen a few of them. We've seen the EOS Prophecy setup. Obviously seen a few rattlesnakes here and there. Not full drone, like massively drone comp setups, but drones have definitely been big parts of comps, if nothing else. So about what I've expected, to be honest.
All right. Well, it looks like we're having a bit of difficulty here of teams arriving onto the grid right now. I'm not too sure what's happening.
We are ready whenever people are.
Okay, we're just waiting for them to arrive in arena. We're having a bit of a warp separation, it looks like, right now.
So we are. I will go and yell at somebody in the background. Hi, stream.
All right. We're just waiting for them. So after this, we'll be having 2 more games. We have D-Line Force versus the Weekend Warriors lined up, and after that, we'll be having Waffles versus Sudden Vydra. So make sure to stick around for those games, and then we'll be having some final comments before we head off. The tournament will be continuing tomorrow. We'll clarify any times we need to over then, and then it'll be going over into the following weekend. I believe this tournament is going over 3 weekends in total. I will be dropping a link to the brackets in chat. Hopefully that goes through. No, Mr. Leader, chat just hates me here, even though I keep trying to be really informative. But the Spirit Aurora has come to the rescue. So feel free to find the brackets on the challenge there. You're able to vote, see how good you are predicting things. We try and keep the times as accurate as possible there. Obviously, technical difficulties can happen. But we finally do have the rest of the blue team here arriving. So we should be looking to start off shortly then. I'm not sure if we're ready to switch over yet. All right, well, we can probably just go over. So joining me for the commentating now will be Midtier. So Midtier, what do we see on grids along while we're waiting for things to switch over?
So the Eire engineers. Yeah. So Eire engineers have brought a setup with the 2 Typhoons, an Oracle, an Oneris, Ashimu, and 2 Punishers. While the Fwaming Dragons has brought 2 Dominics, Sacrilege, Executor, Ashimu, an Eire, and a Punisher.
This is interesting. So we're going to be seeing T1 versus T2 Galenta Logi on grid. T1 Logi being rather effective if he can manage those rep drones really well. So it's going to be how good they're able to get those rep drones flying around, because if they manage those poorly or they get smart bombed or anything like that, the Executor is going to suffer. Luckily, there's no Skybreakers here or anything like that to clear it out. But let's see, what missiles are these Typhoons doing? I'm going to go for... I think those are cruises they're running. Yep, they are running cruises. So I'm not too sure what their plan's going to be with that Shimu here.
So it's actually quite interesting. I think it's the first match we're seeing an Ashimu, and now both teams have brought one. And looking at the Typhoons, they are cruise fits, so they'll be able to reach out to the entire arena, and this could be problematic for the Executor, which is a Tech 1 Logi, so it's not very strong.
And if I'm trying to see... Wait, am I correct? Please correct me if I'm wrong here, but if I'm looking at the article, I am seeing artillery? Or is that lasers? Oh, no, it is. I think those are lasers
It
for
is
sure.
lasers.
It just looks very similar to artillery from because the double barrels. But luckily, I'm not too dead in the brain there. So it does look like we're gonna be seeing Eire engineers trying to go for some long-range bombardment setup here. The Shima doesn't really have the longest range webs. I would have expected them to do something like a Rapier or Ahina, but they might have just been constrained on the points there, I think. But yeah, the Mirror Shima, very interesting here.
So the Ashimu's got the Webifier bonus, so they can sort of act like long-range Webifiers, but not quite as long as the dedicated Minmatar webbing ships. So one thing to notice is that the Eire engineer teams were all warped in at 50, and the Fwaming Dragons team did warp in at staggered ranges, but because they didn't, they missed their warping window, they will be teleported to 0 instead. So this could be problematic for them.
Oh, that definitely could, especially. So we'll see how that. Well, actually, it could even end up being in their favor, considering Eire might have wanted to do a bit more of a long range setup. But that's the rules. We apply the rules as the ref see fit, and we try and just have the punishment equal to the offensive, but the countdown has started. One thing to know, I don't think
So-
either team has a link ship.
Yeah, so just to quickly summarize the rules, like each team's had 30 seconds to warp in, and if they don't warp in within these if they don't initiative warp in these 30 seconds, they're going to get teleported to zero. So that's what happened here. And 5 seconds to the match.
And run away. I'm gonna interesting if they want to clear off these areas and punishers first. Although going for punishers has generally been a chronically bad move in tournaments most of the time.
So seeing the Fwaming Dragons rushing in with the Eshimu and the Executor is burning off to one of the sides. I'm not really sure why, but he's getting primaried by the Eire Engineer team.
So both teams going for the opposite logi with rep clouds coming up from both sides. Although it looks like there's quite a weak rep cloud on the Execure right now of Fwaming Dragons. And he's going to start suffering for that, as we already see him getting into low armor there now.
Yeah, these cruise missiles are going to do their work on that Executor. There's nowhere he can run that he'll be safe. But he can try to dodge the long-range webs of the Eshimu, so he can mitigate some of the damage.
So it seems like even though it's T1 versus T2 logic here, they're quite equal on keeping each other up right now. But we do see these Dominixes of Fwaming Dragon charging in, and it looks like their highs have been dedicated towards newts, and they're getting in range now, so they can start applying newts. So they're going to be looking to switch off any prop mods or hardeners on that Arneris right now. And we might actually be in a situation where this Arneris goes down before the Execure of Fwaming Dragon.
But even if they trade Logi at the same time, it is going to be really good for the Fwaming Dragons, since the Tech 1 Executor is much cheaper in points. And he's actually recovering, as it looks like they're swapping target to the Eshimu instead.
That is true. So I'm actually seeing heavy rep bots on the on the Arneris right now of Eire. So that's obviously the advantage that let's say with this battleship matchup that the Typhoons have over the dummies, where if the Execure of Fwaming Dragons needed more reps, the dummies wouldn't really be able to switch over to heavy rep bots because that's where all their damage is coming from, the damage bots. So those need to be out at the same time. But without any way to really clear rep bots right now, the Arneris is probably still going to go down, but it is a bit of a struggle. No team really clearing off any rep bots right now, so they're just keeping these logi ships alive. But eventually the Arneris of Eire goes down.
Yeah, those neutralizers and the webs on the Arneris really took the toll, as all hardness and prop mod was switched off while he was swept down, so he couldn't mitigate any damage, even though he had a swarm of rep bots to keep him alive.
So the interesting thing I'm seeing here, the Sacrilege in Fwaming Dragons of Nicola is busy neuting out the Ishimu on Eire's side of Bora. I personally would have probably preferred a Smart Bomb on that Sacrilege, as we see the Oracle go down here. Considering you already have the newts on the Dominixes, having that utility Smart Bomb and the Sacrilege would have meant he could have dived onto that Arneris and cleared off those repots and made that kill happen quite a lot sooner. But that being said, they're looking quite comfortable keeping their Logi alive as they're taking off DPS off the field now.
Yeah, I definitely agree about the Smart Bomb. It looks like they're still taking the victory rather convincingly, with their Executor doing a stellar job at the beginning of the match to stay alive against the bombardment of the cruise missiles. Take one Executor versus these Typhoons, I wouldn't have expected him to survive, but he did manage to survive, and now they're taking the victory thanks to excellent piloting by the Executor.
I'm surprised how close these Typhoons are in this melee right now. They look like they're also making use of newts. Again, I think smart bombs, at least one smart bomb on one of the Foons would have helped them as well. But with cruisers, you would have thought that, super they would have been splitting up right now, making sure that, hey, the one Typhoon of Adev is going to die now, but then the super position's already like 100 kilometers away. But what's happened right now is, as you can see, the Punisher of Oblob has already secured the follow-up onto super position. So the moment they kill that one Typhoon, the other Typhoon's already in range where they can just easily switch over their DPS. So not too sure why they've been sticking around there.
Yes, a good tactic when you're doing a kiting setup is that when your Logi is going down, then Starburst going all sorts of directions, so the enemy have to burn each time they go to the next target. Another thing is that if you look at the control bar of Fwaming Dragons, it's massive. They are having all this neuting power on their ships, on the Dominixes. So you really don't want to get close to these Dominixes if you want your hardeners to be on.
Yeah, it's frightening. I mean, this also shows you why something like a Chris might be effective, but just these Dominix is these drone boats in general, where they don't need anything in their highs. So things like the EOS, the Ishtar, the Stratios, even the Dominix, Armageddon. Well, Armageddon having the bonus to newts, as we see the last Typhoon go down there, is that all their damage is coming from these drones. They can dedicate their mids to utility and tackle, their lows to tank, and then just all their highs to this absolutely oppressive amount of newts.
Yeah, right now it's just a cleanup job on these Punishers. The match did look close in the beginning with the Executor going low, but now it's just Fwaming Dragons taking it convincingly.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but I really feel like Fwaming Dragons definitely came ahead, but if Eire had a smart bomb, I think that would have gone a completely different direction. Or hey, if it was Fwaming Dragons and ended up having a smart bomb, excuse me, they probably would have come out ahead of that a lot sooner as well. But congratulations to Fwaming Dragon here taking the win, winning off the T1 versus T2 Galanti Lottery trade, and we'll be taking a short break before we head over to game 15.
Point! Guys, get the Nidhogger! Let's get him! Point! Let's get him! Let's fucking get him, guys! Fucking cut and find, boys! Let's get him! Yes! Yes! Go, boys! Fly like you stole it! Oh my god. Okay, listen, I'm gonna do this one time, okay? They're only doing 1000 DPS from you're winning this game. Provided this stays alive. If this guy doesn't stay alive, then suddenly you lose that race. But it's not a lemon, I'm just like him.
It's an 800 DPS lemon.
It's not
that the one you were shooting friendlies, or?
No, that's not the one I was shooting friendlies.
The one you were shooting friendlies is the game we won.
Should I save this? I think I should just save it.
Yeah, I think you should save it. Entitled Lemon.
I think we're gonna save it.
Lemon Theory.
Point!
Hey guys, welcome back to the Anger Games. I'm Mythica Hawk, joined by Wingnut Cross all the way live from Australia, and we're bringing to you this fantastic matchup between D-Line Force and the Weekend Warriors, aka the WeForm Volta B team. Now, Wingnut, what have ISSW, the Weekend Warriors, what have they brought?
So which SSW? They have
Yeah.
brought the dreaded Twin Curse comp. Now, I've been saying this comp is destructive as hell, and it's honestly a very interesting comp. Double Curse, Drekavac, Hyperion, Double Deacon plus Confessor, and we've seen this is the other team has brought a comp we've sort of seen in the open. So I'm curious to see how it will work.
Yeah, they're bringing double Domi, double Naga, double Gila, and then that token Skybringer. And very interestingly, these teams have warped in at the closest possible warp-ins to each other. They're right next to each other. 2 seconds till the match starts, and we'll see who's going to run after who and who is going to run away.
I fully expect sentries on the Dominixes, and sure enough, boom, 2 sets of sentries out immediately, and they're going straight for the curse.
They are, and they are really shredding Howling Wind there in that curse. Those 2 deacons getting on top of him very quickly are going to be able to keep him alive for now against the incoming damage from the sentries. If they can hold fairly well against this comp, then it's just a case of maybe defanging some of those drones, and which seems to be what they're doing. I don't see any damage applied to any of the ships right now on the D-Line team.
And sound the trumpet, man. In charge is the Hyperion, and same with the Drekavac as well. They are charging straight in. That's the DPS core of this comp. Once they get on target, it's just gonna die.
Yeah,
That
it's
curse
like
is still surviving.
D-Line here. Yeah, it looks like they're changing primaries now because they're realizing they can't break this curse with the deacons on top of it. So they are swapping onto the Hyperion. So the deacons are going to be a bit farther away now. So the one problem with frigate logistics is you have to be really mobile and move around. And those 2 deacons are actually split up right now. They're almost 20 kilometers apart. And that Hyperion is putting absolute turbo shit. He's finally started to rep right now. He needs those deacons to get on top of him. One of them is about 30 kilometers away. The other one is on top of him. A single deacon cannot keep a Hyperion alive, and the Hyperion is dead. That is massive.
That is an absolute upset there for sure. That's what, like, about half the DPS of their comp just obliterated in seconds. Wow. He ran away from his logi. He got too far away.
I've never seen a Hyperion eat that much shit that quickly. That was quite something. I don't know if he realized that he could turn on his Repper, but it just seemed to not happen until way too late. The Drekavac is now the one that's taking most of the damage from those Dommies and the Nagas. Meanwhile, there's almost nothing being applied. There's some damage being applied to a Naga right now, but, I mean, it looks like ISSW are kind of just losing, really.
Yeah, they're playing too defensively with their curses. They should have had them going in and starting to nuke things out. But now this Drekavac, the only DPS they have in their team, essentially. They may have got a Confessor, but it doesn't match a Dominix, and it's gone. It's gone. It's a double curse comp. It's falling apart.
I mean, the only DPS really they've got left is some Curse Drones and a Confessor of Blacktooth Tony. But these Deacons, I don't really know what happened, but they just weren't able to keep that Hyperion alive. They spent so long on top of the curse, and then that quick target swap from D-Line Force onto the Hyperion. I guess they were just out of position. They couldn't get the reps onto that Hyperion in time, and he died so quickly. They're going to kill the Gila right now, which they've done, but it's too little, too late.
That's the sentence I never thought I'd hear. Quick target swap and Hyperion. That doesn't normally go together like that.
Doesn't really make sense. I can only think maybe that Hyperion was fit somewhat unusually. Maybe it was fit with multiple reps to try and be able to tank away from those Deacons, and he just didn't activate them in time. Maybe he didn't realize he was being primaried until too late, and he forgot
exactly
the rep cycle at the
That's
end.
exactly it.
And he just was,
Rep too late. Don't forget, the large rep cycles take forever, and those Deacons were the other side of the map repping the curse. So they couldn't burn over to save him. So he had his own rep stunts to do. He got like 2 cycles off, and that was it. He was dead.
Yeah, I think he was too busy
really
spaghettiing right there to remember to activate his reps, and unfortunately, yeah, just didn't go well for him. It is just cleanup time now for D-Line Force. Weekend Warriors did manage to nab a Gila, so it's not a complete clean sweep right now. But you know, with 2 Deacons left between them and the Abyss, I think it's safe to say that D-Line Force have taken this one.
Oh yeah, this comp was actually quite destructive in the opens as well. Like seeing the double Dominix Naga comp was actually really powerful. I did not think it would work against double curse though. I mean, I was chatting about it earlier, but consider me surprised. I honestly thought they would struggle.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know what happened. They would have to ask the guys. Maybe that there's some postulation that it could have been a polarized Hyperion. That would be absolute madness, but you never know with some of these tournaments. But there you go, D-Line Force taking a win, and we'll hand it back to the guys in the studio.
G'day guys, welcome back to the final match of the Younger Game today. It is Waffles versus Suddenly Vydra. I'm of course Wingnut, joined by Zoo. Zoo, you want to talk us through what Waffles have brought?
So, Waffles here, seen in red, have ended up bringing two Thalias. Reason for that is that the Deacon ended up being banned, and then they also have the Nurgle, Heretic, Legion, and two Damnations. And just taking a quick look at the Legion, it is Neutralizer fit with Hams. And then
Me
what
on
do
the
we
other
have
side,
over
this is a
there?
comp after my own heart. This is a comp for my heart entirely. Two Hyperions, let's go. Plus Oneros, Blackbird, Pontifex, Vengeance, and then a Nurgle, which is... That's two Nurgles in this match, and we've not seen, I think, any in any of the previous matches.
No, I don't think so. We've been seeing the Drakovec show up a bit. I think we even saw his arm once. But that's it as well. We haven't seen the Destroyers, so this is the first time in the smaller side of things I've been seeing a Triglavian ship show up. We do have the countdown starting soon. The teams have warped in right opposite of each other. We see the Blackbird on near us on the Suddenly Vydra side, all the way at the back. They're trying to tuck themselves away behind their team right now.
Also, I'm just being entirely distracted by the skin on one of those Nurgles, so I'm not been paying attention. But the match has now started, and I think the Hyperion's going to try and burn in.
Quite
Yep, there
interesting
they
that the
go.
Hyperions came in a bit further back. I suppose they, having the Blackbird that far back, they didn't want to split up their team too much, but they are charging in right now, although the nearest is piling backwards. So, no, he's making sure he's not going to get out of rep range for the Hyperion, as we so the previous game that Hyperion just crumbled once he got out of range of its reps.
Yeah, I think it's good first call, to be honest, going for the Legion instead of perhaps the Damnations. Damnations are well known for just being utter bricks, like the brickiest bricks they ever bricked. So going for Legion seems like a better call, but that being said, though, the moment he hit armor, he just stopped. His armor hasn't moved since. It's finally gone down a little bit, but I bet you it's going to wrap back up soon.
I wonder if they got inspired from that previous game to seeing that going onto that Hyperion half armor. Looks like he's stabilizing, so getting those reps running now. So definitely has the rep power, but it's normally a matter of buffer and, you know, can you respond fast enough? Going to be harping on a bit on the previous game when we saw the Hyperion melt before, but looks like they are switching over to the Blackbird now. And see if they can finish that off. It mostly looks like it's a drone cow that's following it right there with a swarm of hammerheads on it.
Yep, Hammerheads, but there's also a set of a lot of heavy rep drones on it as well, so it should survive almost purely on those rep drones, I suspect. Look at that Legion, though. Legion down into low armor. We're seeing a Nurgle being pressured, a Thalia being pressured. They've split damage out, but honestly, not in a bad way. And there goes the Legion. Pop.
Oh, that's going to give them quite a nice lead there, because that Legion was newts and damage. So a lot of pressure coming off there. But you see the Thalia dipping low here. So if they can lose that Thalia, if they end up losing that Thalia as well, I'd say they're in a really rough shape right now.
Don't forget, well, this Blackbird has been trying his best to jam out this entire time. He gets one cycle on the other Thalia, and that's game over. At least for that Thalia.
Luckily for Waffles here, they have two Damnations, which are bonus towards info links. Teams are not allowed to use mind links in this tournament format, but still, hopefully they have electronic hardening. They should. But one of the things that these Freakology suffer on most of the time is that they don't generally have the mid slots for something like sensor boosters. I do think the Thalia is the exception and does have an extra mid that you can run as SIBO if you wanted, but looking at them right now, I don't see any sensor booster effects. So it could be because he's neutered out, or it just could be because they don't have them.
Look at this Damnation. His armor dropped pretty quick, but now he's like 30% armor. He's just sitting there. He is slowly getting chipped down, but this is the power of Damnation. You're just really bloody tanky.
And I think what we're seeing here is the jam cycle is happening. So even if this Blackbird didn't have the Galente jams right now, because these are frigates that he would be jamming, even having the off ratios, you know, it's just one successful cycle, and something like that happens, and you end up losing Damnation, even though it has all that insane buffer. So they've lost one of their chief DPS ships now with the Lynx and their newts. So I'm not too sure what they're going to do to recover now.
A commanding match for Vydra for sure. That's just like beautifully done. Delete the Legion, delete the Damnation. At this point, there is nothing they can really do. Even if even if they killed the Oneros just randomly somehow, they'd still be done. If they killed the Blackbird, they'd still be done. They'd have to pull off an absolute miracle, and I just don't see it happening. It's not going to happen.
It did look a bit sketchy there at the beginning for Vydra, where their damage, their Blackbird was suffering there, while a lot of other things in the Hyperion getting half armor. Look, obviously there might have been a bit of a bait there, and they definitely recovered from that, but it did look a bit spicy there. But after that stabilizing on the Vydra side, they just seem to have been dominating that. It could be RNG on the Blackbird coming through here, but it could just be, hey, bringing better fits and better ships.
Yeah, this comp is quite brutal to be sure. The ECM doesn't like usually Blackbirds on their own, a single one tends to die, but with their nearest backing it up, a metric ass ton of heavy rep drones, and of course Hyperion's pressuring the enemy. It's honestly not a bad comp on its own. That Blackbird can just be so annoying to just break lock of the Logi for even a split second and just rip ships apart.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, at this point, well, you're starting to get less and less ships on the opposing side, while on Waffles' side, those jams just start getting more and more oppressive as there's be less targets. So I think another thing that the ECM normally contributes to a match is morale factor, or, just annoyance, the ability to just completely tilt someone once you know. I mean, that can definitely
confirm some... that one.
Yeah. So they've lost both Thalias down there, finally grinding down that last damnation.
Yeah, this is funny. He's on his own now. He's got no support, no reps, no nothing. But look how long he tanks for, considering he's under 2 Hyperions. That's a lot of damage from blasters coming in. He's still not dying particularly quickly. So he's about to.
So I wonder if they were actually trying to go for some weird Amar-only comp. The Deacon ended up being banned, which is why they brought a Thalia. But would you have chosen another command ship over the... Ooh, damnation! Excuse all the sounds here while we're streaming. Like in Astarte?
I mean, the Sleipnir wasn't banned either. I mean, it doesn't fit their combat
it's the
armor,
setup,
but I mean,
yeah.
Sleipnir. It's a Sleipnir. You don't just ignore Sleipnir. So much DPS.
Oh, I'm not sure it fits in for the armor though, but definitely would have helped. So we definitely see suddenly Vydra taking quite a convincing lead over there, and I'm not too sure if anything else could have been done different there, would not?
No, absolutely not. There is absolutely nothing they could have done.
All right. Well, that was the last game we had for this evening. Thank you all very much for sticking with us. We apologize for the technical difficulties we experienced earlier, but luckily, Bay from the NT team was able to assist us and get things rolling again. So a big shout out to him. Also like to thank CCP Aurora for running the Thunderdome server, which the tournament is being hosted on for these weekends. She's been doing a great job of keeping everything running. And also a big shout out to CCP Swift for joining us with all his tournament experience. We've also had Ithaca Hawk and Bazier on the panel commentating with us today, so we hope we haven't made too many mistakes from this. Please feel free to join us again tomorrow as we kick off the second day of the first weekend for the Anger Games. Feel free to find the schedule on the challenge brackets. We will also still be taking ad submissions. If anyone would like to submit those, feel free to find details for those on our Discord channel. But otherwise, thank you very much for joining us. And the channel should be going over to Raid soon, so feel free to stick around for that. Otherwise, everyone have a great evening, good morning, or afternoon. And thank you.
And an extra special shout out to BayArtJ for rescuing the stream today. You guys will have noticed that it slowly improved throughout the day. So big thanks for that.